Welcome to Startup Stories, where we go behind the scenes of some of the most interesting and innovative tech startups in the world. Each episode will bring you in-depth interviews with entrepreneurs and business leaders sharing their personal stories on success, failure, and everything in between. So whether you're an entrepreneur yourself or someone that's just generally interested in the world of startups, then Startup Stories is the perfect place for you to gain insight and inspiration into some of the most exciting players in the game. So sit back, relax, and join us on a journey of startup stories. Hi Heiner, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Good to have you on the Startup Stories podcast. Really looking forward to uncovering a lot about you and your journey with the startup that you're in today. For the listeners, if you don't mind, could you introduce who you are, Heiner?
Sure, happy to. As you already said, my name is Heiner. I'm one of the co-founders of Throne, taking care of the business side here together with the team.
So what I really want to uncover in this startup story is the objective is to, find out why you think the way you do, where you've gone with this path of Throne and stuff like that. So I like to go back to the early days, like your childhood, for example. Take me back to your childhood. What was life like for Heiner?
Life like for Heiner? That's a good question. So I grew up close to Hamburg in a small village called Stade. My dad is a doctor. My mom is a midwife. So I have nothing to do with business from like my family background. I think the first time I got this first touch point with doing business was in my 11th grade. So that's like 1 year before graduation in the German school system, where I started selling coffee, basically like coffee at the school. And then also like snacks and stuff like that, like this typical kind of like thing you do at school, right? And then you're just like intrigued by the idea of running a little business. It's kind of the lemonade stand story, but I didn't sell lemonade. That's a little bit how I got introduced and like also got excited about the business world, and also like that would help me to kind of think about what I want to study and what I want to like do later in life.
So that sort of kicked in around that age. You were selling coffee and stuff like that at school, which is cool. I like that. It's a bit of a cliche. We all start selling stuff at school and you realize what can be done. I really like that story. So as a kid then, what were you like yourself growing up?
That's a good question. I mean, basically I always wanted to be kind of like independent. I remember when I was 13, I wanted to buy a MacBook. And I remember that was the time when MacBooks were still white. You remember them? Like they were like plastic and white. And I thought this is so cool. Like that looked so cool. I went to like an Apple store and I was just in love with this MacBook. So I asked my mom, hey, can I have a MacBook? And my mom was like, yeah, sure. But they're expensive and you have to pay for it. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted to hear from you. But I was partially not angry, but like motivated to prove her that I can do it. Let's put it this way. So I was basically running from every little shop that I could find and to another one and just asking them, hey, can I work here? And they were like, yeah, that's really cool, but you're 13. So like the legal age in Germany, even for like very small jobs is 14. So the only thing I could do was basically bring like newspapers to the houses, right? Or distribute newspapers, which was nice, but I didn't really like it. It was not really, I don't know, I didn't feel that I learned something. It was kind of a somehow stupid task and it's cold and rainy and I don't know, I didn't like it that much. So I continued like looking for new jobs because I wanted to have this MacBook. So I worked at the age, I think, of 14, I worked at a garage. So I was like cleaning cars and doing like what a 14-year-old can do in a garage. And that was actually really cool. And I did that until I turned 17, quite a long time. And that's how I made my first money. And I think that was also something that was quite important for me growing up, already like working and having this kind of like 2 or 3 days per week where after school I just went to work, and I generally enjoyed it. Like I like to work with like the big guys. I like cars. Every boy in Germany, I think, when they grow up, they like cars. They from time to time they had Porsche, so I could clean a Porsche, which was really cool. And yeah, that's really what I liked. And then when I turned 18, actually, because then I was able to sell alcohol, I started working in a bar, and actually like worked as a bartender slash waiter for another 2 years before I went to uni. So I think my childhood was pretty much a lot of like different small jobs, but I really, really enjoyed it. And it was always something, I don't know, that motivated me. Yeah, and it always kind of motivated me to make my own money, you know, like to go out there, buy the MacBook, and not being dependent on someone giving me that money. And maybe a funny anecdote, I remember after I think 6 months or like 12 months, I don't remember, I finally had enough money to buy this MacBook. And then I bought it, and I came home from work, and I was super excited because my mom texted me, "Hey, your Apple arrived." And I was like super excited. Like my whole family was there. I had this package from Apple, and we all know how great Apple is at packaging. And I was a little bit surprised because it was open already, but I didn't realize it in the moment. And I opened it, and there was no MacBook inside. The whole package was full of like real apples. And that's how my mom kind of like, she took out the MacBook and put in a lot of like real apples in there to troll me. Yeah, now I can laugh about it. Like this night wasn't such a great experience though.
Your mum sounds great. That's good. I mean, that's pretty funny. I mean, I thought you was about to say that you were sold like a fake parcel or something from you. I don't know. You bought it third party from somewhere else or something. I thought you was going to say that, but that's pretty funny. I like that. It sounds like as well your mum taught you a very good lesson from a young age. As you said, you wanted this MacBook or this computer, and you know, you initially wanted your mum to buy it for you, and you realized the hard way that, you know, if you want something, you've got to go get it yourself. So I think at that early age taught you a really good lesson, and it seems like that stuck with you today. As you said, you want to make your own money and do it the right way, achievement through something like that.
100% agree. And it also, I think, at a very early age, it taught me that work is actually like can be fun, right? It's not like you do it just to get something, but like I could have stopped after I had the money to buy the MacBook, but I generally enjoyed work, and I generally enjoyed the people I was working with, different tasks I was given, and also sometimes to work on let's say not the sexy stuff, you know, like cleaning cars can be nice, can be annoying. Actually, like after my Abitur, which kind of like our high school diploma, I worked like as a summer intern. It sounds funny when I say it in English, but because like when people think of summer internships, they think of these like, I don't know, fancy banks or something like that, or big companies. And I was actually working as a summer intern for a recycling company, and basically helping to label trash cans or something like that, which was nice. It was nice to see that, and it's also nice to see where you maybe don't want to end up. I'm not saying it's like a bad job. I'm just saying, like, for me, I realized, okay, I actually have to go to uni. I have to study, so I can do something that is different to what I did as a young kid to kind of like make some money.
Yeah, I like that. How old are you, Heiner?
I'm 28 now.
Yeah, because I'm 29, so very similar in age. And what you're saying really resonates with me, because I feel like growing up, I feel like you have to do many different jobs to realize what you don't and do want, right? And you have to go through those ones where you're bottom of the food chain to a degree and stuff like that, because then you don't know what it takes to get where you are today. You don't want to fast track yourself into a position where you haven't had to go through trials and tribulations to get there, because that's what makes you as an individual and put you in the position that you are today. Would you agree with that?
100% agree. I wouldn't say to get you where you are today. I don't think I'm very high to like on the food chain today, which is fine. I'm very happy
Progression.
where I am. But there's still some room left, I would say. But anyway, 100% agree. And I think like some of the lessons you learn as a kid, they're like super important, especially like every kind of person has their strengths and weaknesses, and like they're like you have to find the strength and then you have to give them kind of like a job where they can prosper with their strength. And I saw that in very different scenarios, which I every day I try to like keep that in mind. Also, when it comes to finding good work and good tasks for employees that actually like make them happy, but also like where they can be the best they can be, you know. So I think that is really a very, very powerful learning. And then during uni, and also that's a really something I recommend to everyone in the first semester. Go out there and try as much as you can, because like try different things, right? Like
Yeah.
I would never recommend do like the spring internship at JP Morgan, do the summer internship at JP Morgan, and then start after your bachelor's as a first-time analyst at JP Morgan. I'm not saying that is a bad way to go. I'm just saying like look left and right. Maybe try a startup. Maybe when I give these example, please keep in mind that I studied business, right? Like might be very different for someone in engineering or computer science or whatever. But in the business world, some people follow a very straight path. And then after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years on the job, they're like, holy cow, like I don't even know like what else I could have like seen. And
Yeah.
they question all of the things they are doing. Whereas as a student, you have this amazing freedom to do these like 2 months, 3 months, 6 month internships. And my personal opinion, I don't really care if someone like finishes their studies in 3 years or 4 years. I think it's way more valuable if they did like many internships in different scenarios where they learn from, I don't know, maybe a consulting firm, maybe a bank, maybe a startup, maybe a corporate, maybe a nonprofit. Like these are very valuable lessons that will like help you grow as a person, and clearly something like where you have the time for during your studies, and that's like highly recommended versus just going this like straight path that can make you faster but like will make you slower in the long term, I think.
Yep, I have to say I 100% agree with that. I have friends that straight out of school, they got educated at university and they went to like in the UK like Barclays Bank, and they've climbed the ladder and stuff like that, and they've been there for like a decade, but that's all they know. So you could argue it can be quite one dimensional, and you've not really had other experiences to know what it's like to work in another business and accumulate different tools and skill sets. Because if you are at one business, yes, it can evolve, but you kind of only have one understanding of how a business should be run or done or things like that. So yeah, very interesting point. Okay.
I think like one point to add, in the end, I think the ultimate goal is like how many times like did you smile per day in your life, right? Like you should be happy. And I think for some people, it's exactly the right path to do that. For others, it's not. The only thing is, it gives you more perspectives. If you see all of this and then you say, hey, like Barclays was exactly what I love and it's great, right? Then who am I to judge? Who am I to say like don't go to Barclays or like climb up the career ladder at Barclays? This can be a fantastic job. It's just, I think it's important that people feel comfortable in exploring different things and then finding what suits them best. And I think this is easier at an younger age than later in your career.
Sure. So tell me about then your path that led you to become a co-founder at a startup called Throne.
So basically I took the very conservative or like risk averse route, I would say. And I really, really, really deeply respect everyone who like has the courage to found a company right out of uni. I think that is something I deeply admire. My path was a little bit different. So during my studies, I did a lot of internships, mainly in the finance, consulting, private equity world. I did one internship at a startup, which was Tinder, which was really, really cool because I think it taught me one thing. You can have exceptional colleagues. You can have a really cool work culture with all the perks that we hear of from, I don't know, the Googles of the world, the McKinseys of the world, like this nice, I don't know, free lunches or something like that, or nice home office extras. Like all of this is cool. But in the end, like one thing that I realized, at least for me, it matters as well that you genuinely enjoy the product, right? Like you should have cool colleagues, you should have a great culture, but if you don't like the product you're working with every day, it's hard to compensate for that. And I think that is something that was really something I learned during my time at Tinder. Although it was a short period, it was just really fun to work with a product like so many people in my age can relate to. Some people hate it, some people love it, but like everyone has an opinion on that. And that was something I really enjoyed. So that was one of the internships that actually like had an impact on me. The others as well, but I think that was something I now like still remember and recall. Then I started my career at consulting firm McKinsey. Great colleagues, great work culture, great brand. I don't like flying. It's a big problem when you're in consulting. It's just, I don't know, when I'm up in the air, it's fine, but I just don't like landing and starting. It's not really my thing. But jokes aside, it's I think it's a perfect way to learn how to structure your thinking, how to communicate with very different stakeholders, from like the, I don't know, physics PhD who is your project manager to someone who is like 1 year like just waiting for their retirement in a big like corporate company, and you have to like get along with both, because in the end you will only be successful if you get along with both, and they're very different people with very different needs. So that was a really good lesson. Then I moved on to work in a growth equity fund called General Atlantic. Did that for the last 2.5 years, 3 years roughly. Also like fantastic learning opportunity. It's the great chance to work with like exceptional founders who are like not at the stage of like 0 to 1, but rather from 1 to 100, or maybe even like from 20 to 100, because it's rather later stage where we invested. But it's a good learning to see which business models are not just like fundable or like investable or sexy for investors, what you, I think, focus on in the very early days in a startup, but rather, hey, at scale, are there examples of companies, right, that economically makes sense, that actually produce more revenues than costs? And I think that is something you really learn very, very well in this later stage investment phase. And then was it last year? No, it was in 2021. Yes, 2021. During the summer, this kind of like regret minimization thing you might have heard of. It was like, okay, if I don't try something, I always admired like the people I worked with. I always admired like the ex McKinsey colleagues who founded something, or like the entrepreneurs I was working with at GA. And I was like, hey, I think it would be a bigger regret never trying than like failing. So what I did, I started to brainstorm about ideas, started to ideate with different friend groups. And then in the very end, I joined Patrice and Lenny, one of my two co-founders, at Throne as kind of a late joiner. And I have to kind of like disclaim, like a big disclaimer here. They had the idea, and I admire the idea. And I also admire that they did like this first month, like crazy month, where there's like a lot of like finding out if there's actually like a market need for it. And once they had initial traction, I joined them to scale, to professionalize. I mean, we were still like 3 guys living in a flat in London, going to WeWork every day, but still like this, finding actually like a paying customer. I have to admit, I took a shortcut here.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction to Throne and the idea. I know that you said that you were a late joiner, but it just makes me smile because it resonates with me with starting my own company. So everything you're saying makes me sort of visualize to what you were saying, getting that first paying customer. It's like the best feeling in the world. The first time you deliver successfully for a client or a customer, for example. No, I really like that. So tell me about Throne then. What does Throne do?
There's the big vision Throne, and there's like the one problem we focus on first, we're solving right now Throne, right? So the big vision Throne is basically, hey, creator economy is huge, especially the long tail, but like it's huge, it's growing. We don't know what's gonna be the next like platform. Will it be TikTok, YouTube, Twitch? We don't know that, but like people trying to make a living producing content for others, I think this is a trend. It's a clear trend, and it's growing, and we are big believers in that. The other thing is that where we're like big believers in is e-commerce, right? Brand building, marketing via the internet, via creators, mainly for e-commerce companies. I think, and all like companies basically today are e-commerce companies. Not all of them are e-commerce first, but there's no single like big brand that does not have a web shop. Everyone has a web shop today, and everyone is also like advertising on the internet. The only question is, how is marketing going to look like in 2 years from now, 5 years from now, right? And we think, we're convinced basically that like creators will play a huge role in this, and I will like elaborate a little bit why later. But then having these two main things in mind, now let's focus on like what is Throne solving in the first place, and what's like the first kind of problem we tackle is there's a huge long tail of creators, let's say the ones with like 5,000 to 50,000 followers, right? Like growing like a followership of like 10K followers, that's a lot of work. That's a time investment. That's most of the time also a monetary investment, but you're too small for the big brands like a Nike to reach out to you and say, hey, do you want to have like a brand partnership with us, right? And then let's think like, how can these people who most of the time do it like on the weekends, they have a full-time job, how can those people actually make some money out of this, or at least cover their costs? There's 3 ways how they monetize traditionally. One is advertising. As I already said, like for brand partnerships, you really need to be somehow relevant, and that means you need to have a bigger followership for most of the time. You can put like ads on your like YouTube videos, but like still this is not really moving the needle. Second option is something like Patreon. So you put like a paywall in front of your content. I think that really works well for big creators to like create a super exclusive membership club for like even more exclusive content. However, I don't really think if you want to grow your audience, as people are so used to having like free content on the internet, they're not really willing to pay for something, especially if you're small and you want to like still grow with the same pace you did grow your first, let's say, 10K followers. So also not really a good solution for the small ones. And then the last thing is as tipping. It's quite big on Twitch. There's also like Ko-fi or Buy Me a Coffee where people can donate money. I think donations, they are nice given that everyone has a different price point and content can be worth to some people like more or less, right? So that's a nice aspect of it. However, it's not very personal if you send someone just some money. Like if I like someone who's doing yoga videos and I love these yoga tutorials and I do them every day, and I send the person money, I want the person to produce more yoga content, and I don't want to sponsor their next holidays or something like that. So that's why we thought, how can you use this donation aspect with different price points, etc., by actually inventing a fourth option of supporting your creator, especially smaller creators. And that's where like this idea of gifting came up. Gifting, it's not that we had like this idea and there was no one out there like doing this before. Some creators already had like an Amazon wish list, and that's also a little bit how we had this idea, hey, how can we like use something that actually makes a lot of sense to us. However, there's many problemms with the like Amazon wish list. And our idea was, okay, let's find out like what's the problem with the Amazon wish list. And the Amazon wish list, like most of the time when you Google like Amazon wish list problems, you will find creators who are scared of like their private details being leaked. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that is like actually happening or not. I think Amazon, they do have some rules in place that this doesn't happen. However, just by the logic of it, and also just by the fear of what like creators have when we talk to them, the fear is always like the customer experience we all have on Amazon is amazing because they put the paying customer first. Which means if you pay for something, you can write these reviews, right? And if you have a wish list and you use an item, or you put an item from like one of the merchants of the Amazon marketplace on your wish list, and someone is buying it for you, then there's a little bit of a disconnect between what Amazon wants to achieve and what you want to achieve. You want to receive the gift and you want to like keep your details private. However, if I'm the one who's gifting and I want to find out your address, I can call the merchant and I say, hey, where are you sending this to? And even if they're not supposed to tell you, you can kind of like social engineer or like threat them and say, hey, like if you don't tell me the address, no problem, I will give you a bad review. And these merchants, they really care about their reviews. They don't want to be on like page 2 or page 3 of like Amazon search. They want to be on page 1. So the risk, I'm not sure. I'm not saying like this is actually happening, but like the fear is out there that creators like fear, okay, the big power is in the hands of the like actual gifter and not in our hands. And that's how we came up with this privacy first wish list, where we detach the buyer completely from the receiver, and we are kind of like the middleman.
Very interesting. I mean, I've not really looked at that sort of aspect of business where, you know, you are gifting to a creator and stuff like that. So when you're talking about these creators, are you just referring to YouTube and Twitch, or is it like Instagram and stuff like that as well? All sort of social media platforms?
So basically, most of these creators, they are cross-platform. So if you're big on YouTube, you have like an Instagram as well. Most of them have one main platform. Like our biggest platform is definitely Twitch and YouTube right now. And I think if you think about like how these platforms are being used, I think there's a lot of like educational content on YouTube. If I don't know how to, bake a cake, I will go on YouTube and watch a tutorial, right? If I want to have like inspiration on I don't know, some yoga stuff, like I go on YouTube. If I don't know which running shoes to take, I will like watch a YouTube video where they review this running shoe. So I think that is like why people get a lot of value from YouTube, and that's why they like to support like the people who are creating the content. On Twitch, it's more of an entertainment aspect. Like it's basically like watching TV, but like you really enjoy. Yeah, you enjoy watching someone playing a video game, but the fun part is like what they say. The fun part is like their reaction, the personality, the reactions, right? So I think that is why people like to support people on Twitch. Whereas on Instagram is main. It used to be very static. Now they have stories and reels and everything, but it used to be you post a picture. And the picture is most of the time is very aesthetic. You have a lot of makeup, perfect dress, a lot of filters, perfect location. And like, why do people follow people on Instagram? In my view, it's more because they admire them. They envy that, like maybe a little bit, what lifestyle they have. They want to have the same, and they want to see what they are doing. which is also a good like relationship you can have with your idol. It's just a little bit different to what you get like from YouTube or from Twitch. So I think for the wishlist product right now, YouTube and Twitch, like they work very well. And let's see, we have like 200,000 creators on the platform live. So we definitely have creators from all content platforms you can imagine, including like like Instagram and so on and so forth. But like looking at the like high percentages, I think it's those two platforms.
Yeah, sounds like a great product, and there's definitely, clearly, as you said, a need for that in the market.
And I think like one thing to add here, in the end, like you have to solve one problem. I think Throne, like the Wish, it's a fantastic product. Like it looks nice. We have amazing like UX. We have really a lot of like features that make it more interactive, that really engages your community. We have stream alerts. Like if you receive a gift, it pops up on your stream. You can directly interact with the fans, say thank you, you know. We have tweets where you like auto tweets where people can thank the fan as well. We have if you buy something for someone, you can send a message. So it's not just like sending a DM and someone has like, I don't know how many thousand DMs per day and they won't get back to you, but you're actually sending something that they can use on the stream. Let's go back to the yoga example. You're sending someone a yoga mat and you send a message. Like the chances that the person will reply and say, oh, so like, thank you so much, Heiner, that's really cool. Like there's a lot of like features, I think, that make Throne really cool. But in the end, like the one single thing people most care about, I think, is the privacy aspect, and everything else is on top and is really cool and people like it. But like we ensure your details, like your private details, stay private.
Yeah, love that. I think that's what's going to separate you from the rest. Sounds like you've really focused on the user experience and the finer details. I think that's where it really matters. So very interesting. I'd love to know your journey so far at Throne. So it's been what, just around a year? What's been the best thing about your journey so far at Throne?
The most difficult part of like running a company, the best part of running a company, and the part where you learn the most is like actually having employees, because they are people and they're very different people and they have very different needs. All right. And they're in very different personal situations. Right. And it's challenging from time to time, but it's also so rewarding. And I remember at our Christmas party when my team came over, and the moment like after 1 year where the team comes to you and it's not your co-founders, right? It's like actually like the team, the people you work with every day. And they say, hey, like, thank you for like all the effort you put into it. Thank you for like, I don't know, like listening to us when we have questions, when we have thoughts, etc., etc. They gave me like a little Christmas present, and that's really like a moment where you have like this little ninjas cutting onions just below your eyes, you know, and you know what I mean. So no, that was really, really cool, and I think one of the moments where I was like very, very, very happy.
Love that. I was actually going to ask a follow-up question to that. What's been your toughest part of the journey so far? But I imagine it's what you just said. It's the people, as you say, the toughest part, but also the most rewarding.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's like the toughest part is the people, because in the end you can always find a solution there, I think. I think there's some things that are not in your hands. That can be bureaucracy. It's really annoying. That can be sometimes bad luck. Like we had a credit card fraud attack, and I mean, yes, we had all the measures in place you can have, but at some point, if you transact such high volumes, these things can happen, right? And then you just have to find a solution. But these are things that really, like, I have a couple of gray hairs over here from this attack for sure. And I think, yeah, you have like some ups and downs. And if you think about like founding a company, there's phase one where you do everything, you don't care about anything else than finding a solution to a problem where a customer actually pays for. The moment you have found this, and I think that's the toughest part, the moment you have found this,
And for some reason, a lot of people like it. You have kind of like a bucket, a very leaky bucket, and there's a lot of like water coming into this bucket, and you have so many holes, and one hole is bigger than the other hole. And you're just trying to fix it, and you cannot like fix all the holes at the same time. You really have to prioritize and fix the biggest hole first, and then the second biggest hole, and so on and so forth. And I think like something like a credit card fraud attack or something is one of these holes where you have fixed it, and then for some reason it breaks again, and you just have to like put all the efforts in there to fix it again. And I think this kind of like having a bucket full of like holes with a lot of water coming in, because we had a lot of demand from creators, and that was kind of like symbolizing my last year, where we just were firefighting, but luckily we never had a problem with like customer demand. You know, it's a very lucky situation to be in. Like when you like all your problems you have to fix are structural problems with, I don't know, setting up like the correct entity, setting up accounting, for the first time hiring an employee, for the first time having an intern, for the first time offboarding an intern, like making sure all the like accounts are closed again, like all this. You can like set up the best process on paper. In the end, you have to do it like 1 or 2 times, and you have like all these hiccups along the way until there's some sort of routine, I would say. And now I'm very, very happy. We have an office, we have like the legal setup is, everything is ready. We have accounting, we have a budget we track against, we have a fantastic team. And now it's more like getting it's not from 0 to 1 anymore. Now it's from 1 to 100. So I would say that the bucket is fixed. Now we do have to focus on making the bucket stronger, making it cooler, giving like the bucket more nice features, so that the water that is flowing in is not becoming less, because in the end, like, you want to grow, and that's our main purpose, to grow the company. But it's a new challenge, and it's a nice challenge, I would say, and hopefully a challenge with a little bit less gray hair and near death experiences.
A little less holes in the bucket.
Yes.
I think that's the beauty of a startup, though, right? There is no blueprint. A lot of things are for the first time.
100%. That's everything.
Yeah.
Like, as a first-time founder, everything.
Yeah. I can totally resonate with you on that. Like, when we've had to hire our first person, we've had to scale where we focus, like our niche, for example, like we focus in Berlin. Initially, we were the whole of Germany, but we had more successes being tied down to one city instead of the whole place. So just going from doing the whole of Germany to then Berlin, it's a new way of working. And how do we hone in to make sure we do it correctly? Because you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? So yeah, I totally resonate with that. It's very, very interesting. I would like to know, what are the goals now and the ambitions for Throne? How far do you want to take it?
I think that's also a very good question, because I already talked about kind of like the big vision Throne, like what we believe in, and then like the first problem we're solving. In the end, what we're doing, right, like with this gifting platform, we have a lot of creators, we have a lot of like e-commerce brands. We create this kind of like invite-only e-commerce shop where creators go, they discover products, they get inspired, they put it on the wish list, because I would say the hurdle to put something on your wish list is way lower to like adding something to your cart, because in your cart you have to pay for it yourself. In this case, it's really, hey, that would be a nice light for my stream, or this would be a nice microphone I would love to like try out. So I think that is really cool. It's a nice kind of shopping experience for the creator, and it's also really, really good for the brands. And I think I want to like spend like 5 minutes on why I think it makes a lot of sense for brands, and why we managed to get like hundreds of brands on the platform in 1 year, without like in the first year, right, where we had to improvise on some, I don't know, contracts, and it really was tough on the administrative side. However, like the sell was actually not always easy, but like many people see a big value in Throne from the brand side. And let me quickly explain why. So like they put it on the list. They put like a yoga mat on their list. They tell their fans, hey, if you want to support me, there's like stuff I really would love to have. These fans, they go on the list. Not all of them gonna buy something, but they're curious. They want to see like more insights about like the creator they follow, right? And by definition, because they consume yoga content, they're also into yoga. So if there's a yoga mat on it and it's generally like something that the creator wants to have, like you don't have to put any like paid advertising or paid sponsorship label on it. So it's super authentic. And the next time they buy a yoga mat, they already have this brand in mind. So I think that is like the free marketing aspect that is super powerful for brands. Second thing is consumer insights. People run surveys to find out who could like my product, because normally you have like this target persona in mind. So let's take the yoga mat example again. Like let's say this is like targeting, I don't know, female 15 to 45-year-olds. And in our case, maybe there's like 60-year-old male gamers who like to put it on their gaming chair because it's comfy, and that's a market you would completely forget about, because like you would never put like money on Google Ads on this, or you would never go for like an influencer in this space, because traditional influencer marketing works like this. You have your target persona, you go to an agency, you go to like they give you a creator, the creator like gets the item for free, and then you pay, like, you even pay for like them posting pictures, plus they have the label of like paid sponsorship or sponsored partnership like this. So I think that is a very nice thing. So you see which other niche might like my product. And when I talk about niche, when people think about creators, they think about beauty, fashion, cosmetics, but there's all types of creators. There's people who do gardening, there's people who do knitting, there's interior designers for Sims, there is I don't know, let me think, like there's study streamers. Study streamers are actually people who stream while they study, and people like log into Twitch, for example, watch it, and they build like virtual study groups. So they motivate each other not to be distracted, and then they kind of like meet up at a certain time. They say, okay, let's do like 2 hours of focus and then 15 minutes of chatting. And this really helps them to like focus on their studies. So there's like so many ways people use these content platforms to like produce content, that like beauty, fashion, cosmetics is just, yes, it's a very prominent example, but there's so much more to it. Just think of all the ones who do like the tutorials on how to bake a cake, tech reviews, sports shoe reviews, whatever. So that is really interesting for these brands to discover which other niche like my product. And then the third thing is you get user-generated content. So people like to do unboxing streams, unboxing videos, pictures that you can use on your socials. And that is something that we want to leverage right now, like having these brands and the creators. We have the creator trust, and we have the brands who like to use us as a marketing channel on top of this being like a sales channel as well. So our motto right now is solving the problem for a creator to make money via commerce, right? The first thing is we do the wish list, so people can receive items and cover their costs, maybe make a little bit of a living out of this, but they won't become a millionaire by gifts. And the really big creators we have on the platform, like they put something on the wish list and within 60 seconds it's being bought. And at some point you also like, you don't need physical items anymore. So for them it's actually like more interesting to sell back to the community, where they say, hey, these are items I put on my list anyway. And some of those fans, they are like, okay, I enjoy the content. I want to have the same, let's say, Adidas shirt that my idol is wearing, but I don't want to gift something because I'm not such a big fan, maybe. But then they can buy it for themselves. And for us, from a technical standpoint, everything we do is kind of API calls. So it's really, we can facilitate that, and we see a big chance to grow with the creator along their journey. So like they start maybe by doing it as a hobby, receiving some gifts from their community, growing. At some point they don't need any gifts anymore, they want to make money, so they start selling back to the community, and all via our platform, and that, like, we can leverage our existing partnerships for that.
I must say it's a fantastic product. something that's very new to me, and that's why I was so intrigued to talk to you about this. I know that we've been talking leading up to this, and really thank you for going into detail about Throne and their unique product, and I'm sure it's going to be a very successful year or number of years with Throne. What I'd love to know, Heiner, is what your personal motivators are. Why do you get out of bed in the morning to do what you do?
6 out of 7 days, it's because someone is waiting outside because they want to go for a run with me. No, just kidding. But yeah, I do like to wake up quite early and go for runs in the morning. But jokes aside, like I really enjoy building a team, building a culture. You know, it's, yes, you have influence on culture at your employer, but like building a company from scratch also allows you to building a culture from scratch. And after 2 years of COVID and like home office and losing a lot of like these personal connections, these fun events, etc., like it's really something that motivates me to like have a place where people like to go to work, where they like build friendships, where they like enjoy what they are doing, be it because of the culture, be it because of the product, be it because of this, all stakeholders involved. But like, it's really something that motivates me. And I generally believe in our model, we have a win-win-win. I try to go through like all the stakeholders in my head. So it's good for the brands, it's good for the fans, it's good for the creators, it's cool for the employees. Like we really try to make something that makes a lot of sense to all stakeholders. And that is something I generally enjoy. And yeah, and I mean, like, man, if you're like in the creator space, there's no day where you don't see something that you have never seen before and you didn't even know like something like this existed. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Like the product itself, like the creators, like this creator world is crazy. There's literally everything and it's so much to discover. And then on the other hand, like this e-commerce entrepreneur world is really cool. I generally like these people because they are like people like you and me who at some point decided to quit their well-paid job and start like a cool brand. So yeah, really enjoy both sides of the marketplace. Love the employees. It's the people in the end. It's really like the model that enables us to make a lot of people happy, and that is something that motivates me.
I really like that what you've said there. I mean, as you said, it's about the people. So it's a very selfless statement that you've made, which is really good to hear, because ultimately without the people in your business, or whether it's the customers that you have, then Throne doesn't exist, right?
100%. I mean, in the end, like we have to make the creator happy. We don't have this like a B2B SaaS company where you have these contracts and you have to make the sell, and then like I don't want to talk bad about B2B SaaS companies, don't get me wrong, but you have this kind of like lock-in where people then are locked in for like the next 5 years, and even if you don't like improve on any features like after 2 years, like they still can't get out of it. For us, we have to gain their trust every day. Like the creators have to use us after everything has been bought from their wish list. They have to put new stuff on it. The fans have to enjoy the experience. If they have a bad experience with, I don't know, checkout doesn't work, or the product's not being shipped to the creator or whatever, like they're just not gonna use it anymore. It's like if you're on a marketplace, yes, you build over time. You build a moat, because the best brands go where you have like most creators, and most creators go where you have the best brands, which I like about the model. But on the other hand, if like the virality we have right now, given that our customers, saying like this creators, they have such a big reach, if we do something very bad, they also can use this reach to talk bad about us, and we like it can also go the other way around. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's also what we have to prove every day, that we really put them first, like the brands and the creators and the fans, to like make this model work.
For those that are listening, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in a startup?
The biggest lesson, I think in the end, like as I already said, right, like business is about people. Everyone has strength, everyone has weaknesses. It's so important to understand like their personal situations they're in. It's very important to talk, to take the time to talk. It's so easy to find excuses not to take the time for that, because there's like, you will always have a full inbox. There's always people who want something. It's really easy to say, no, like we have this feedback walk, but let's postpone it and let's do it next week. And I think like the only meeting you should never postpone, I think, or push to a later point in time, is like the feedback walks, is when someone wants to talk to you, like cancel almost everything. You cannot always cancel everything, but like cancel almost everything. Take the time. Don't make the employee like feeling any pressure to hurry up. Like they should feel like that they have all the time in the world they need to express whatever they want to express and to address whatever they want to address with you. So I think that's very, very important. And then like it's the best thing in the world. And I think the second lesson, never be cheap on a lawyer and on accountants, because if you just think you can outsource everything, like in the end, like they are fantastic professional service firms who help you with everything, but in the end it's you signing it. And like that was also a big lesson. Sometimes invest a little bit more, and then you have less stuff you have to, like more in terms of money and also more in terms of time, and then you have less to figure out afterwards, which in the end costs you more than you thought you're gonna save.
We like to end our podcast on a bit of a bonus question, Heiner.
Now I'm scared.
So what this means is, the last guest, I asked him to ask a question that I will ask the next guest. So that question was from Paul Lunlow at XU Group in Berlin. And his question was to you, not knowing who you are, what is the toughest situation you have faced in the last 3 months, and how did you tackle it?
I think one thing that is tough, but is also nice, gifting has, as everything in e-commerce, but gifting as well, has some sort of seasonality, right? People gift on certain occasions like Halloween, birthday, Valentine's Day. They also do that like if there's no special occasion, but you see some spikes. And then there's Christmas coming. So for us, we knew from the year before how crazy Christmas can be. And we knew that we have to be prepared. And we have a fantastic team that was being trained for this. However, you never really know how crazy it's gonna be. And I think 2 months, maybe 2 months before Christmas, we were working with an agency like Fiverr that was supporting us, and we realized it's good, but it's really hard to plan with them, and we have like a really certain risk of like just having the entire operations running through them. So we decided, okay, we have like only a few weeks that we have to hire full-time employees that will actually like solve the problem, or like help us to get through this time. So that was a tough decision. That was very tricky, because like, yes, of course, when you have someone from Fiverr, they don't expect to, like, it's a freelancer and they work for a certain period of time, but like getting them motivated to train the full-time employees, to transferring the knowledge, then to also telling them at some point we're gonna like phase you out, and having these like full-time employees being prepared for such a crazy time, I think that was really tough. It was a very tough thing to do on a personal level, because you don't want to hurt anyone, right? On the other hand, you have to speed up. You're always seeing like the orders coming in. I mean, on good days, we're doing like 4,000, 5,000 orders a day, right? Like it's crazy. And if you have your backlog going up, it's really hard to fight the backlog. The backlog is probably increasing in a linear way, but like your customer support tickets, they're gonna grow exponentially, because people ask, hey, where's my package? And then, hey, what's with my last ticket? And hey, what's with the ticket on my last ticket? So it's really like, we had a like a lot of respect for December, and had this change in how we're gonna tackle this month just before December. So I think that was a very, very tough moment where you had to deal with a lot of course, with a lot of emotions, with time pressure, with pressure from the customer, because we knew this transition phase we will be a little bit like slower, so we have to appease them and tell them, hey, this is what's going on, like being very good in communication. So yeah, that was a tricky one. December was even crazier than we expected, but kudos to this fantastic team. We had no problems managing all of this. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. But I think there's two like gray hair over here from this period as well.
Thank you, Heiner. Really enjoyed hearing your whole story about Throne, and I look forward to following the rest of the journey throughout 2023. I know we'll keep in contact. So yeah, thank you again for being a guest, and yeah, it's been eventful.
Thank you, Jordan. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Startup Stories. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our guests and learning more about their journey in the startup world. I'll be back soon with another exciting episode featuring a new guest, so make sure to subscribe to Startup Stories so you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media for updates and additional content. And if you have any suggestions for guests or topics you'd like to hear about, please reach out to me. And as always, I appreciate your support and feedback. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.